And here it is. You can't start an unboxing without an unbagging. This is the rig. Let's get down to business. I've been asked, to give you a bit of background, I've been asked to put together, and it happens a fair bit, a full kit for basically professional audio interviewing out on the road. What I've decided on is an H6 Zoom recorder. You know, we're all crazy for the Zoom H4n. I know I've got one in my backpack, always lives in there in case of an impromptu interview. But for this one, I thought the H6 was probably going to be more handy for a regional customer who might well use this as an audio interface for their laptop in hotels or when on the road. So it could work a lot better, a little bit more pro, I suppose, looking as well. Trusty old Audio Technica M40X. I have a pair of these I use for if my guests want to use headphones. I use the M50X personally. All right, what else do we need in here? This is personal shopping. What's the most important thing about traveling a long way and hooking up a very important interview guest? Not running out of batteries in your portable recorder. So that's for the client, that's for me, and for both of us to have loads of spares and a couple of toys at home as well. So I couldn't help myself. Look, when it comes to cables, I was a little bit dubious. I thought if I'm clever, I'll get a 1 meter cable so that the interviewer doesn't have all this extra cable lying around, and then a 3 meter cable for his guest. And then I went, you know, what happens if you want to set up recording and you're on a couch and you want to put set the recorder up on a table and then both of you go and sit on the couch? So I've just gone and got a bunch of mid-range professional, name brand XLR cables. These ones are D'Addario, and it's just a classic 10-foot mic cable. I've just bought a bunch of cheap wind shields. If you have a situation where you're interviewing someone and they are doing lots of popping, like you can't get them, you're stuck between trying to get them to keep the microphone reasonably near their mouth, but then they instinctively want to go full AC/DC and throw straight in there, which causes all the popping and everything. Ideally, we'd be down here quite nicely. But if you have one of those, put one of those on. At least it forces them to, I don't know, get half an inch away from their mouth and helps with the pops a little bit in an emergency. Not a bad little $10 thing to have in the bottom of your bag. Decision time for me was the microphones for this client. I know he's going to be going about probably around where there's gymnasiums, maybe traffic, maybe cafes. And I've gone for a super Cartoid dynamic microphone. This one is the AKG D5. They retail for about just over $200 Australian. And I thought the super at first, I was just going to get I use a normal Cartoid. Sennheiser M935, right? And because I also like to use hammocks and like the idea of using them in the studio, if I'm interviewing someone and they're funny, then I find that every time I laugh, I've got a terrible sort of machine gunny laugh. I find that it quite often bleeds into their microphone, and I've just got this irritating me laughing echoing through the whole mix. The super Cartoid can really help with that, but I use a normal Cartoid in my studio in those situations because if it's on a stand and people move away a little bit, you kind of lose a lot of their audio. Whereas this is for flat out handheld interviews, and I know a lot of people have success with these, and it's, I've listened to podcasts where people are constantly apologising for the screaming baby or the nagging wife or the reversing truck, and you can't actually hear it. They can hear it and they're conscious of it, but you can't hear it. So there you go, a pair of those. That's it. The rest in the bottom of this pannier is just bike tools. All right, I'll bring you in. All right, let's clear the decks. Get this baby out of its box. Good. Like I said, this H6, beautiful. It's got a case. When I got the H4, that was it. Look, if you're ever going to interview two other people, you're going to need at least this, which is 4 straight up non-complicated tracks. I can do that with the H4, but I think I showed you earlier. I've just bought a mini jack, which overrides the onboard stereo track, hence the 4. So it's actually 2 XLRs in the H4, which is great for your interviewees. But then I've got this, which it's not ideal, but this will allow, you could actually split, you get a splitter for this and do 2 others, but I really just need one for my microphone. Let's have a look what's in the box. All right, it's a lovely little box. I'll give it a little show. All right, things are all wrapped in their little. Oh, look at that! It's a micro SD with adapter. Oh, that looks like quality. It's interesting when you're 2 gigabytes. Could barely fit the instructions on, I imagine. It appears to be, and you don't see this very much, the old mini USB. I'll put something up there, which is uncommon, but at least you've got a drawer full of them, I guess. We have, this is handy as well. These are all things that I've had to go and buy for my H4. This is a great little windshield, which is, I think it's ideal. So if you're doing an interview with in this case, with your D5 microphones, and you want to capture the ambient noise and decide later whether you're going to mix it into your track. If a train goes by, you can grab that if you want, use it however you want. You can use the onboard microphone on this thing and put the wind filter on, of course. But it's just a little nice touch because these aren't that much dearer. Let's have a look at the thing itself. Feels nice. It's got that nice sort of, that rubbery sort of pro feel about it. Twin use XLR, so you can actually put a 1/4 inch plug in there, which is great. Maybe for a guitar or something like that, or just when you're stuck. I know I've got a couple of unusual microphone cables that end in a 1/4 inch. You can use that at least. What I love, and call me old-fashioned, but you've got live, this is a bit more like the real thing. You've actually got live gain, like active physical, what would you call it? Analog gain controls here for each track. So you can literally just do that rather than select the track and find a little button to go up and down. So super pro. It's always nice taking the little windshield off. It looks even better. So first feels good. It's not very heavy with no batteries on, but of course there is something yet to go on. And let's have a look what's in the other packets. Murphy's Law says if you go and buy batteries, they'll be in the packet. If you don't, there'll be none in here. I think I'd rather go with some fresh energizers anyway. All right. Oh, that's nice. That feels good. That's going to add a little bit of weight. Look, that feels nuggety and pro, that little thing. It's all metal. It's got its own, and this is another great thing, it's got its own gain control knob there. And, you know, they've even got their own little custom plastic thing to protect it, which I'll keep all of these. So, well, stick it on. Why don't we? I like these. There's a pretty pro sort of little metal push things. It's like you can't set off the nuclear codes without both of you pressing the buttons at the same time. Clip that in there, nice and snug, and there you have it, a ginormous version of the H4N Pro, and I love it. I really want it. Now I'm a bit jealous. There's another little bag here. There's one more mystery bag. Fingers crossed on this one, but I've got a feeling. Oh, it's a very cool looking thing. Look at that. It's a cool other microphone. I'm going to have to get back to you on what the actual, you know, preferred purposes are for each of those. I'm guessing this might be a sort of a one-on-one or an ambient noise, you know, with the multi-directions. This might be a one-on-one. So if I'm here, well, it says right, left, here and here, which is a bit odd. Because it would be interesting if that was flat out an interview thing where I spoke into there and you spoke. It's all going to bleed anyway, so who knows? Let's find out. We're here to play. We've done the paying. Now it's time for the playing. I'm going to take this off for now because this is potentially never going to be used on this device, this particular model. Nice. Look at those guys in their little nests. Instructions. What do you do with instructions? See how they're sealed? Let's keep it that way. Just joking. Okay. Happy that I opened the battery case without having to unscrew it. I've got kids, and I tell you what, the amount of times you go to quickly sort out a problem with a toy or change the battery and find that you need a micro screwdriver in the middle of a park or something like that, it's bloody irritating. Battery change, 5 to 6 seconds. Beautiful. What shall we do now? Switch it on. I like the way there's the power with these, and I'm assuming it's to protect you from making boo-boos, it's like a sprung switch you've got to hold down, and it sort of, you hold it down and it comes on for a couple of seconds. All right, so let's remember it's not a touch screen, people. We're so used to touch screens on everything now. Okay, so what we've got here is having a look around. There seems to be a sprung two-way switch, so that self-centering switch. So when you have a choice, you can scroll, and then there's a menu button. That switch, I betcha, yeah, it does a press, which means I've probably set it to Japanese or something like that. Right, okay, the setup is easy. It's, you know, what year is it? I've bought, for this client, I've got 2 SD cards, an SanDisk Extreme SDX C64 gig for main use. This is, you know, he shouldn't have a struggle filling that by mistake if he checks each time. But I bought him a little cheap, you know, $10, 12, you know, an SDHC Ultra, 16 gig, just to have in the box in case you can always get a whole interview on one of those. You just can't do one after the other without paying attention to how much room you've got on there. That's my idea. The one it came with, of course, is a 2 gigabyte. Very handy indeed, I don't think. Right, handy blade. Check it, make sure it's unlocked. Work out which way it goes. Okay, label up this one. If you're ever wondering about which way to put an SD card in, I know it's a bit like a USB. The classic USB is it doesn't fit, and then it doesn't fit, and then it does fit. For some reason, there's a magical fifth dimension in there. SDs, usually the business end of it, like the opposite to the label, is towards where the circuitry might be. If you use some logic, like if you've got a camera You might, and there's there's a battery just to that side of it. You'll probably find that the business ends that way. Anyway, just trivia. All right, so this has come on with a cool color screen, and what appears to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, as expected, 6 little tiny mini channels showing up with little pictures of little slots and everything like that. I will get a picture of that for you. Maybe I'll just see what happens when I do this. All right, so that's about as far as I want to go with the Zoom right now, because I want to go straight into using it, because this whole set, I'm in charge of setting this up for virtually foolproof use. So let's not make things complicated, and let's clear up a little bit. What do we need next? A lead. There's nothing fancy about these leads, but I certainly would avoid, using extra long ones that you're going to trip over. Also extra short ones. The last thing you need is to be whipping your portable recorder off a coffee table. That's for sure. Right. So there we have it. So channel 1 is 1. I think it works 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so we may as well start with channel number 1. Interestingly enough, the XLR inputs in the H4n have the little cool little locking device. This doesn't. This is an out and in, so there's no stopping that getting unplugged, which is probably better if you can have a short lead, and instead of whipping off the coffee table, maybe it'll just unplug, which is probably a better scenario. Possibly. Depends if they're in the middle of a solo or something like that. All right, so here we have it. What do we need now? This unboxing festival. I haven't used the AKG, but I've heard good things about them. It's a nice looking microphone. It's got that very similar feel to the... Let's compare it. Hold that thought. Oh, I haven't got them here. I haven't got my Senis here. It's not super long, so your hand is going to be right up there in the thing. There's nowhere else to go, like a reporter. It's got good weight. You don't want too heavy, because then people are going to sort of go like that. But you're not going to forget it's there. If it's too light, your arm's sitting there not knowing why it's doing that, so it'll sort of drift off. So maintaining awareness that you're not maybe you, but maybe your interviewee is actually holding a microphone at all times. It's always nice to have one of these little guys. It suits the mic. It's probably going to suit nearly all mics, so don't worry about that, but they give you one, which is nice. And a little sack. Fully branded sack. All right, so this is the D5 vocal mic. I'm going to plug it in. So there we are, we're plugged in. So what now? Well, technically, we've got an SD card, we've got batteries, we've got the device, it's on, cable, microphone. I can have a podcast. So I've just pressed number 1. I haven't looked at the instructions. I'm just banging on, right? Now this is going to get super pro. All right, so what do I want to happen now? Right. So I'm pressing the record button and nothing. And I'll tell you why in a minute. This actually has started recording. This is the thing. is that some of the other recorders, the H4n, and I also use, I might add, another Zoom product, which I love, called an L12, which is a mixing desk. I'll take a photo of that and put it on in the background or something like that. I love it. Have a look at this. Has an SD recorder built in. So I used to use a normal desk and then a couple of cables coming out of the master going into my H4n. That's why I bought it. But the H4n was superseded by the fact that this new mixing desk I bought. The reason I got this one because it sends in all 12 tracks into Audition, Audacity, whatever you like. So it sends them all in. So it's a multi-track interface. It doesn't just mix down like my old mixer into a stereo. So once it's in the computer, it's gone. So it takes a bit of pressure off your live mix. You can go back and fiddle with each track later on, which makes sense. Same with this. Okay, this is going to be the same story. You'll have on the SD card, or if you use it as an interface, you're going to have up to 6 tracks. I'd say a stereo track and then 4 mono tracks that will be on the SD card separately. I think it'll be 3 stereo tracks that you've got to deal with, but they can go in and they're forever separated, right? The only way to blend them together is to be like me and laugh so loud that you go into someone else's microphone. All right, see how I'm just holding this microphone all the time? It's not actually on. Right, so what's happening here is I've done 2 minutes of blank recording. Right, so it's recording. I'm holding the microphone. Nothing's happening. So now what I'm going to do is turn the gain up and have a look. What happens? Does anything happen? Oh, hello. Hello, who's that? Number 1, track number 1. Remember, these are known as left and right from the plug-in ones. Okay, so track number 1, and if I hold it there, we obviously well gained. So that's, I'm going to put that on 5. Put that on 5, and I'm looking for just having a yip yap to be just on the 12 mark. So we'll get that to 6. And let's have a look. So for now, that's probably a bit much if I get carried away, but it depends if you're, oh my God, if you just go, oh, see, it's too much. So 5, it's not hard to bring it up and boost up the levels, normalizing in your computer afterwards, but it's impossible to deal with it if it clips out. All right, these things have settings. I'm talking weird because I'm trying to, yeah, look, that'll do. I think seems to be the difference between 5 and 6 seems to be quite strong, but I think that'll do for now. You're better off. Let's see if there's any difference here. If I do that, and then turn it around, that. No, it doesn't really care. It's about this direction here. All right, so that's good. So we're technically recording onto that SD. At this stage, I'm going to get my client to take the SD card out, stick it straight into his MacBook Air, or whatever he has, Airbook, or whatever you call it, and just grab those tracks. So we'll deal with that as it comes. The magnificent thing, and I've got to admit, I was pretty stoked. I didn't realise that it even did that. This one and the H4n and probably the rest of them, 4 and above, you can plug it in and select, when you first plug in the USB, you can go in and select whether you're wanting to transfer data, so whether it's just an SD hard drive, which you can suck into the computer, or you can actually set it to be an audio interface. So literally, this will do the same job, but as a 4-track, or if you buy another $100, you can clip onto the top there another 2 tracks with their own gain, which is just grouse. Hey, I'll try and find a picture of that. So you technically got a 6-track audio interface to use in your studio or around the traps. So if this guy got pretty advanced, he could actually rig this up with his laptop and run it like that. I think it's a lot safer. I found out when you're using it as an audio interface, you can't also record onto the SD. Whereas my desk can do that, which is fantastic because I'm using it as an interface, a mixer, and it is also, I just press record. When someone comes in for an interview, before I even think of anything, I just start that recording onto an SD card. I never look at it. But if something goes wrong, God knows what, something fries and I lose the lot, I just pull that SD card out, search through it, and I've got those channels exactly the way that they were recorded into my computer. So I love this baby. I love it. I really want it. But the H4, I love that too. There's also little pad switches on there. This is not a deep into how to work this thing. This is deep into setting up a foolproof recording situation. Why I'd go for the H6 right now for the extra $100 or whatever it is would be, number one, could seem trivial, the case. Number two, these 2 cool clip-on microphones. Number 3, the extra channels, the extra 2, to make it 6 real XLR channels, they actually come on and they behave exactly the same way as the rest of them. Number 3, the live gain, you're looking at it, you've got a real mixing situation here. You've got your gain, you can be talking away, you can just glance down in the middle of an interview and realise that your interviewee was shy at the beginning and he's all, oh yeah, okay, right. And now he's getting going and telling some good yarns. And you can just kind of, without being too dramatic and not right when he's yelling because he might get self-conscious, he or she, you can just pop their gain down a little bit just to avoid that. But too low is not really going to hurt unless it's super too low. All right, so that's it. I've done it. I'll do some tests later on to see if this not correctly fitting but cheap foam filter can actually help with the Peter Piper pick to peck of pickled peppers thing. You think it didn't happen then, but we're using this microphone right now. All right. Messy people like me, we love 2 things. Number 1, Tupperware and containers, because there's this feeling that purchasing something will help us be less messy people. Number 2, we love labelers. Yes, sirree, Bob. We love labelers. When you've had a lifetime of... All right, let's see what Channel 2 does. Lifetime of scrappy writing that no one can read. Number 2, I'm getting... Have I put it into number 2? Yep. Yep. Okay, so on the top, there are... I'll refer to that same picture. There are the track buttons. So I can arm track number 2 by pressing it, but that will not happen during the recording. I confidently knew that, but I just found out then. Yeah, labelers. Get your little labeler, right? I think that looks all right. A bit. It's when you put it on, it feels ill-fitting, but you're really just trying to stop the air. When you say pee, there's actually an expulsion of air that comes out, and that's the only problem. That's what messes with the microphone diaphragm, not what you're saying and how loud it is. So when you're in nice and close, and then you say pigs, pink pigs, so if you do that, and then you put something in front of you like a tea towel and go, it doesn't come through. Even all of my pop, well, here's one here, look. I feel nothing on my hand. You can feel the air if you do it straight on. Remember I was saying about the labeler? get some goddamn labels on these things, because do your head in. It's already doing my head in. All right, so the only thing to do now is to record something, see what it sounds like. Remember, I have just pulled it out of the box, turned it on, put the chip in, and that's it. Armed the tracks. I'm putting both gains to 5. And then we'll see what happens. What I might do also, I'll do it on the microphones. All right, all set. And all right, so this would be Derek on track 1 doing the unboxing of the Zoom H6. The only thing left to do today would be to unbox the M40X Audio-Technica headphones. Not so exciting for me because there's a pair just sitting over there right now, but I might just use them for this experiment, and then I'll go over to the microphone number 2. Microphone number 2, should be technically the same because we have the same leads, the same microphones, and the same pop filter. Now let's do another thing. On microphone number 2, we're getting quite a low, but I can, if I go, oh my God, then it does pick up a little bit, but without peaking. I'm taking the foam off. So what I'm going to do is ideally, this is how I roll. I just hold it there, and occasionally I stuff up and get a bit of, purple pigs if you're doing that, and it doesn't sound very nice. But down here works a treat, as long as you're aware that your gain is not overdoing it. So if I want to hold it here, because this is a super Cartoid microphone, I don't think it's going to benefit having it here, because you're going to start getting out of the golden range, and so you'll have your gain up to match with it, which then defeats the purpose. It'll start dragging other things. So I reckon over here is pretty good with the gain down. So gain down to 5, just under the chin, and that's fine. But you're the one producing this show, and you're the one that's got to deal with all the pops and carries on. So I don't see why not just throw, instead of this, your interviewee starts getting a bit rock and roll, and then you say, what colour was your hat, and they said purple. It doesn't sound nice. All right, so then I reckon, what colour was the hat? It was purple. You see, you can't even. I don't know if this worked or not. I'll find out later on when I edit. But you can already hear the air moving across that mesh at the top there, which is, of course, whether it be air or a finger or anything banging a microphone, anything interfering with it. All you want is sound waves in there. All right, so that's number 2, and that's number 1. See, now number 1's jacked right up. It's not booming, but this is how you'd want it if you knew you were going to be talking in a nice mellow tone. I think this would, to be honest, I'd say gain to 6, and if you were going to interview someone that might get excited in the middle of it, then perhaps go like mic number 2, have it set low, bring it up if they don't do anything, or bring it up most of the time. But if you know they're going to just suddenly start laughing and carrying on, it doesn't peak. See, that worked quite well. That was a genuine laugh, I promise. Okay, and that's that. Now, if you're going to be using this in the studio, and this is another very exciting feature, I reckon. If you're going to use this in the studio as your interface or recorder or whatever, and you're going to have microphones like this one, these require phantom power. Okay, these are condenser microphones. So they're awesome and they pick up every nuance, if you like. But if you... I'll stop recording that. If you... so easy. It feels really nice. Sorry. If you use these, then you need phantom power, which is something like 48 volts, very low amperage, and it has to be supplied. And that's supplied through the XLR connections, but you do have to set them. And the great thing about this is you can choose which ones get the phantom power, which is pure gold. Because if let's say someone came in here and I didn't want these microphones to pick up my hysterical laughing, and my two guests had one each of these, and I had one of these, then this one I could put into track 4 or any of the tracks, and then set track 4 to have the phantom power, and it's just beautiful. Even my desk one, you've got to choose within a bank of 4. So I've got 4 XLR inputs that you can choose phantom power for, and then another 4 that you can choose. So I'm really okay with that, because I can plug a dynamic microphone into any one of 4 while still, and other devices if I like, while still including Skype and all sorts of tricks like that. But I've always got the 4 phantom ones rolling, so 4's enough. I can't see why you'd need that many condenser microphones going at one time. It'd be cacophony. All right, I reckon that just about sums it up. There's the headphone thing. No point in saying sums it up if you don't mean it. I'm just going to get this is the exact same headphones as I've unboxing, the AKG M40X. I used them for quite a while in here as my main headphones. Then I got carried away and bought some M50X when they were on sale, because I needed 2 pairs anyway to do not so much interview shows, in which case I'd probably leave my headphones off and my interviewee. But if you're doing a team thing, like my co-host on my podcast, What Now Derek, we both wear headphones, and then we both are constantly aware of our own, position in the mix, I suppose. But that's up to everybody. Let's have a look around for a mic. Oh, there's a headphone input. Right, and I imagine we're dealing with a setting situation here. I'm getting, you can really hear the difference in the between 5 and 6 on this gain is pretty strong. I wouldn't be messing with that, because I can really, so directly out of the box, I'm getting headphones, I'm getting the mix into my headphones, and it is dramatically affected by this gain. So this is great. We're ready to roll straight out of the box. 3 Microphone Derek signing off.